Good morning, Sainers. Good morning to Saints TV Weekly for the 26th of May. As always, as you see in the intro, every single week, thanks to Inglewood Coffee Roasters. Check out their website at www.inglewoodcoffeeroasters.com.au and redeem the discount code popping up on your screen right now. Check out their coffee, tea, and chai products, and you'll be addicted very quickly. They're awesome, and the coffee I'm drinking this morning is delicious. And I needed it after the weekend. Not as shocking, I suppose, as last week, but still without a win for the last 3 weeks. And that brings us to the first topic, yesterday's game. 19 points in the end. We were taken down by the Gold Coast Suns. They kind of had us at arm's length for pretty much the entire game. We had our chance in the third, and it felt very much like the Carlton game where we had enough momentum that if we were clean enough, maybe composed enough with the ball, and maybe we were just a better team, we would have taken those chances and maybe put a little pressure on. Maybe not enough to win, but it would have been enough to get the crowd going, get the noise into the stadium despite the pretty small crowd in the end, and who knows what would have happened. But that's not the reality. Reality is they were 29 up at halftime and 20-odd up at three-quarter time, and we bridged it back, and they kind of steadied late and got the job done. So that is what it is. It felt like I said it in my review, felt like a bit of a routine loss. We weren't terrible. We weren't great. It was kind of in between the two. There were definitely times where I thought we were terrible, but not for the whole game. Sharman kicked 3, Owens kicked 2, Naz, Steele, Sinclair, they were named in our best. And we go to 4 and 7, so it's a tough road back here. With Melbourne to come, who are in absolutely flying form, 5 of their last 6, so we'll talk about that a bit later. Off the back of this game, it's interesting, a lot of people aren't talking about the result. I don't know if this was a tactic for Ross in case we did lose, but everyone's talking about his comments pre-game and what he said, and obviously Damien Hardwick and what he said in response. So if you're living under a rock and you don't know what Ross said, they were talking about the Gold Coast and the fact that they are the AFL's Nepo baby, likely in regards to the concessions they've received from their academy and their perceived soft fixture. Perceived. I mean, it is a soft fixture. His quote was, "Chock full of talent, aren't they, the AFL Nepo baby?" And then off the back of that, I don't think in his presser he was asked about these comments, which is interesting, but Damien Hardwick was asked, and he came out and said, "It's a little bit disrespectful, I think. Trust me, I've been at Richmond and I've come to the Gold Coast. We don't get a lot. What St Kilda probably should do is just focus on their own backyard instead of trying to bring everyone else down. They had 13,000 people here today. We'll just focus on Gold Coast. They should just focus on themselves. End of the day, first place you need to look is internally." And then the Gold Coast chief, Mark Evans, I think he was on SEN this morning. He was in response to this as well. He said, "I thought the comments were offensive and out of line. If there's any club in the world that might have an understanding that progress isn't always linear, that would be St Kilda." So, Ross has triggered the Gold Coast Suns. A lot of people online agree with what Ross has said, and he's just saying the truth. It is true that they are the AFL's golden child, and the AFL want to improve sort of their prominence in Queensland, and the one way to do that is to get Gold Coast up and running. Brisbane have done it in Brisbane. They need the Gold Coast to come to the party, and it looks like that they're going to get their wish. The Suns are flying, had a bit of a soft draw. They've won their games. They beat us pretty comfortably yesterday, and they're likely to make finals, I think, for the first time ever. So, that's interesting. I just find that, interesting that, no one's talking about the result. They're just talking about what Ross said about the Gold Coast Suns and the fact that, it's pretty much true. So, moving on to injuries. So, Jack McRae missed, obviously. He's another 2 weeks away. Liam Stocker, 2 weeks. Paddy Dow, about 4 weeks. Dougal Howard, about 4 to 5. Zane Cordy, about 8 weeks. Max King, TBC, post-bye. We will talk about that then. So no major returns this week. I think maybe we'll check the VFL, but I think Tyru's suspension is now over. I believe he's available from round 12 AFL, which is coming up this weekend for us, Sunday. So we'll quickly go through the VFL news. It was a very interesting game, a draw in the end, 72 each. Sandy v Gold Coast at, I think it was RSCA Park yesterday. Jack Carroll kicked a really nice long goal after the siren to equal the scores, and he was close to best on ground. He had 28 and had two goals with that. Hugo Garcia polled very well. Also kicked a goal, 27 disposals with 10 tackles and 9 clearances, which I think was a game high. Max Heath, 1 goal, 18 disposals and 11 hit-outs, 7 tackles. He was third-ranked player on the ground. Harry Boyd was 4th. Dan Butler, 5th. 1 goal, 15 disposals, 10 tackles. You'd think he's a chance to return next week. We dropped Collard, who I think he struggled a bit. 1 behind and 7 disposals, so you'd think maybe Dan Butler gets the call up. Liam Henry, 17 disposals, 4 tackles, 10 kicks, and 5 clearances. Not bad. Ari Shawmaker, 18, as he always does. Just gets the possessions. And anyone else? James Barrett, 9 disposals. Alex Dodson, 1 goal, 6 possessions. So you'd think maybe a Jack Carroll could be a smoky. Hugo Garcia, you think, would come back in. Dan Butler, potentially. Maybe an Ari or a Liam Henry on top of that. And Angus McLennan rounds it out for the AFL listed players with 12 disposals. So that is that. Alex Tyrou, I believe, is available. I don't know if we'll just chuck him in to play Sandy now, or we bring him in against Melbourne. Because I'm kind of thinking, and this brings us to that game. We're flying through this. Melbourne where are we playing them? Alice Springs, Sunday, 3:20 p.m. They're flying. They've won 5 of their last 6. We have won 1 of our last 6, or 1 of our last 7 or something. So our form's pretty average. Theirs is absolutely brilliant. They've beaten some good teams in the last 2 weeks in Brisbane and Sydney, the grand finalists. And we've lost to the Suns, Carlton, and West Coast consecutively, in between a Fremantle domination and then losing to Brisbane, which most teams do, so that's okay. Marginal favourites, Melbourne. I think there should be more, but I think the fact that it's in Alice Springs maybe draws it back a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what our form's like there. I feel like we've played Melbourne there before, and it was a bit of an ugly, dour affair. Maybe 2021 or 2022, if anyone can remind me. I don't know. We've got some changes, potential changes. I mean, Max Hall was quiet. I think Boxall should play a full game. We'll talk about this more in the preview, but I think Alex Tyrou could even play full forward. If we play Rowan Marshall in the ruck against Max Gawn and Rowe is still not 100%, bring in Tyrou. Then you've got Keeler, Caminiti can settle back with Wilkie. I think that should just stay that way. It shouldn't be moved week in, week out. I really like the look of those 3 and have a tall ahead of the ball. So Sharman, Owens, Viking with Butler and Higgins and Phillippo sort of roaming half forward. I don't know. We'll see. It's Monday, so we'll see what happens at training and any news that comes out of that. Last time we did play Melbourne, they beat us by 38 points. Last year at the MCG, that was an ugly game. And before that, they beat us by 21 when I think we had one on the bench. I remember King went down and a few other players went down as well, for memory. And we were pretty gallant in defeat, but not enough, obviously. So yeah, that's Saints TV Weekly for another week, Sainers, May 26th. If you haven't watched my review, please do. And obviously my 5 things we learned will come out this afternoon. And then obviously the podcast will be recorded out tonight on all streaming platforms. And then the video version will be out tomorrow with Woody's dissection of the game. And then obviously Wednesday, Ari's predicted 23, the teams Thursday, my preview Friday. It's a full week as always. And I appreciate all your support. We're very close to 14,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'll really appreciate that. And congratulations to the tipping winner. I have sent your winnings. He got 9 out of 9. There was a couple that got 9 out of 9 as well, but he got the exact margin, which is impressive. So on that note, Sainers, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.